Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. We're back again and we're going to talk some transfer news today. Of course, we're in the international break, so there's no Chelsea fixtures, so we can't cover that. We're going to get straight into it, and we're going to start off with the bigger story. We have, of course, pictured here Raphael Leo, and it says Chelsea and Man City both keen on Leao. Counterparts could be used. Now, we know that Chelsea have had their long-term interest in this guy. There were talks that maybe this summer something could happen, but it was going to be an expensive one. And what we've got here, coming from the La Gazzetta dello Sport via Calcio Mercato, it says the striker is asking for 7 million net per year in order to extend his current deal with Milan. So that to me is a bit of a red flag that he's even considering that extension, because if he's thinking about it, I think he's happy out there. And it says this expires in 2024, his current deal, so hence the interest, and the club willing to pay about 6.5. So there's really not much between it. You know, 0.5 million extra a year when you're paying 6.5 really isn't much. So I do think he's going to extend, but I don't think that rules anything out. I think that if he extends, there is still the absolute possibility that there's a release clause put in there, and it's going to be a big one, but a release clause put in there that means if it gets met, he can go. And you can see AC Milan doing decent in the league. They're 5th at the moment according to this table, right near the top, so they're doing well. It says that difference is bridgeable, but the problem is that the Portuguese winger wants the Rossoneri to contribute in some way to the 19 million euros due to Sporting CP together with Lille. So I guess that's, you know, the clubs that he's come up from, they're owed a percentage of the money from when they sold him, and they want them to pay some of that. Again, 19 million, if they're in with Lille for it, I don't think that that's going to be a huge stumbling block, knowing that they've got one of the best players around at the moment. And it says, with this stalemate, Chelsea are certainly on alert and they're willing to offer an amount worth 120 million, perhaps with some counterparts included, to working out an idea of an exchange of some sort. It also mentions that Man City are also following closely, so if they want to keep him, they should probably get this done quick. And if we take a look at him, of course, 23 years old, right foot, could play left wing striker. Looking at this current season as we're in, 6 matches played, 3 goals, 3 assists down here. You can see it there, and you can see it there. The guy is already showing very good numbers. Of course, so we're looking at last season, which is what all the data will be from. 11 goals, 8 assists, 34 games. It's good numbers. You're still seeing off this left side, he's going to be cutting in, and he's a very physical player as well. So this guy is obviously a player that I want at Chelsea. 100 million euros, you know, 120 million euros being mentioned here. It's a lot of money. I'm not sure how I feel about that. If we get a new sporting director in alongside Graham Potter, I think hopefully Chelsea can become a club that is capable of finding young talent like we've been doing already. You know, we're not, it's not like our academy is bad by any means, right? It's one of the best around, and nurture talent through the academy, but that does take time. So if we want good players now, and of course he's still young, he's only 23, Chelsea will have to be looking to go in for him. And we've seen the ambition of these owners. They're not afraid to throw some money around, right? They're more than capable of throwing 100 mil if they want to really go and get Raphael Leo next summer. So this one, an absolute possibility. Whether it will happen because of this contract extension, and we don't know what the release clause will end up being, it's also unlikely that if he signs an extension now, in the summer, or possibly even January, if Chelsea want to go that soon, that he would end up leaving. I think he'd say, I'll give it this season, maybe even the next one, and after that, when he's like 25, somewhere around there, he'll move. So that's my personal take on it. If he does do the extension, I don't think he's moving for a couple of years, but I think there will be a way for him to get out of the club. Maybe if AC Milan aren't performing, you know, as well as he hopes, because they are doing good out in the league over the last year or two. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think on this one. I'm intrigued. I think he looks like a brilliant player, but I'm just not sure the pathway to him coming to Chelsea is very clear at the moment. Then next up, we have a report coming through, and you can see the man pictured here. It says Chelsea now set their sights on rapid 21-year-old attacker. Premier League club failed with 26 million summer bid, and this is Shakhtar Donetsk, Mikhailo Mudryk. Again, you guys know I'm not good at pronouncing names, so that might not be correct. Scotland did beat Ukraine 3-0, and he was featuring in this game. But there was a lot of Premier League scouts there, and it says Chelsea and Arsenal were solely at Hampton Park to examine Mudryk. And if we take a look at some of his stats, you know, it mentions here that he's out at Shakhtar. If we take a look, 21 years old, out in his league at the moment, they've only played 3 games, no goals, but with 1 assist, playing off the left wing. So, you know, not the greatest numbers, not the greatest amount of data on this guy either. Last season, 11 matches played, 7 starts, 2 goals, 4 assists, so I guess those numbers are pretty good, you know, 6 goal involvements out of 11 games, something every other game, and he only started 7 of them. So, you can argue, you know, those stats are better from last year. If we take a look at, you know, the Champions League this year, 2 appearances, this is for this season, 2 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists, so the guy is showing some decent stats, but overall in his career there isn't too much to go off. If we look maybe the season before, 13 appearances and no goals, but you gotta remember the guy is only 21, so coming to those previous years, you're not going to get great data because the guy was so young, like he's not a player yet, whereas now at 21 you can start to see what he's going to be. Not had the greatest start to the season, you know, 1 assist out of 3 games isn't insane, but in the Champions League you can see against is that RB Salzburg or Leipzig, I think it's the other one, and Celtic, that he's done decently. So 2 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists. I think that's okay. Not enough for me to go say, oh, Chelsea, go and get him, because you look at the average ratings to these performances, they're not outstanding. There's large gaps between here for the seasons, but there's not much amazing data to go off. There's some very, very recent data, and he's only valued at 4.2 million. So if Chelsea really are going to go get him, and they think 5 million, 10 million, given that we have to pay a premium, maybe it's worth a gamble. But for me, haven't seen him play enough myself. I don't watch much of Shakhtar Donetsk, and the numbers aren't insane. So if any of you guys out there are more informed on this guy than me, please do let me know. I'm not convinced, but maybe he is a player that Chelsea have seen something in with their scouts that I have not. Then we have a big one here. Chelsea retain a strong interest in Jude Bellingham, but Borussia Dortmund will not sell for less than 130 million among interest from Man City, United and Real Madrid. So we know that there's a lot of interest been going on over this summer, a lot of talk, but next season is really where it's going to be. Borussia Dortmund really trying to push and get him to sign, because otherwise they're going to ask for about 130 million if he's going anywhere. Yeah. It's an interesting situation. You can see down here it says, according to The Athletic, Chelsea are among the clubs that retain a strong interest in signing Bellingham. Liverpool are a step ahead of Madrid, Man City, Man United and Chelsea. Dortmund are going to look to fight to keep him. They're looking to offer him a very big contract, so whether he accepts that, maybe it's possible. On the other hand, I do think Chelsea and all these other offers are going to turn his head, and he's going to think, look, I've seen Haaland go from the Bundesliga to the Premier League, light it up. I want to be that guy. Whether he'll go to Man City and join Haaland, I don't know. Hopefully he comes to Chelsea. We're going to put our foot in the door, you know, and try, that's for sure. But I do think where we're at the moment, depending on how this next season goes, obviously under Graham Potter, I think that will decide it. If we're up in the Champions League and we're looking strong, maybe we have a crazy resurgence and we end up 3rd or 2nd or something crazy like that, I think there's a possibility. If, as it's looking, we're going to be fighting for a top 4 spot, we maybe just scrape in or just miss it, and we're in the Europa or something like that, there's no chance. There's no way it's happening. So Chelsea really need to have a good season this year. The clubs like Man City, Liverpool will probably be ahead, Real Madrid. There's so many clubs that are going to have a little bit of an edge on us because they're in a better position than us right now. Stable management, stable team. I just think Chelsea aren't quite in the lead, but you never know. Chelsea surprised me a lot with transfers, and especially over the past transfer window, that we were putting our money down on the table and saying, we want this guy, you know, Wesley Fofana, we're not stopping until we get him, stuff like that. So it is possible, but I'm not entirely convinced we'll be the ones that get him.